Welcome to Activity 11. So in this one we are going to see how we are going to use cookies in PHP application development, how to personalize the web content using cookies. Because in Activity 10 we actually work with the session variable and the session concept, and we have personalized our application based on the session information. So in this one we will see how we are going to use the cookies. So the same application, so we are going to use that mean activity 10 application. So therefore first thing is so we can add we can import our activity 10 into this NetBeat environment to start this application and start this activity, and after that we will see what are the things that we need to do in this activity. So let's go to file and import project, uh, not export, it should be import file, import project from zip, and I'm going to browse my desktop to get this activity 10, the previous activity, and then I'm going to import this one to my okay, so sorry, so we need to import this into exam and htdocs. We need to select htdocs. Okay, so now so we are going to import into exam htdocs. Okay, now I need to run the exam. So I will run the project now. Okay, it's asking some information. The project URL http index file. Okay, now we will run it. So it's so let's see it's whether it's working. So we will first register some user here. Okay, the registration is successful, so let's sign in. Okay, we have login, sign into the interface. So now we can sign out. Okay, we are coming to the home page. So let's move to the activity 11. So in activity 11 what we are going to do is we are going to introduce the remember me functionality into this application. So that is how we are going to learn the cookies, because with the remember me functionality, so we can actually use kind of cookies to develop this functionality. So the first thing is we need to modify the login form, that means the index.php page, to include this remember me checkbox for users. So let's do that part first. I'm going to source files and index.php. Okay, here before this don't have an account one, so I'm going to have the same kind of division here, and this will be not this text, so I'm going to have not this text, I'm going to have this input input checkbox. Okay, so here, so I'm going to have input checkbox. It's not required, and we don't need any placeholders there. And here the type is checkbox. So the type is checkbox. ID remember me ID. So we will make it like this, and name remember me. So we'll keep the classes like that, and let's run this one now. Okay, it's coming, but we need to add some text into this one. So I will add the text as remember me, and also okay, that's it. So let's check it again. Remember me. It's coming in the new next line, I think, because of the class I have used here. So I have removed this class because I'm using the form control class. In my form control, I'm having the controllers every controller in next line. So therefore, it's coming like this. Okay. So now it's okay. So now there's a spelling mistake. Okay, now the remember me option is there for my sign in page. So in this one, so you can see that the remember me option is available for me. Now I'm going to now that is okay. So now let's move to our next task. So now in this case, so after verifying the user credentials, if the login is successful and the remember me checkbox is checked, generate a random token using this function. So this is a inbuilt function available in PHP. So you can generate a random key in a hexadecimal format, and then we can add that as a token to this user's account. Okay, so now let's see how we are going to do that part. So here now we need to modify our authentication method, because in the authentication method once yeah, the authentication process. Okay, so let's move to our code, the login PHP. So in this login PHP we are going to call to this authenticate method here. Okay, once the authentication is okay, so we are going to add this user information into this session. So now not only the session, so we need to have a cookie. So that means kind of a key, authentication key for this user. Okay, let's see how we are going to develop that part. So in here, so first we need to check whether this remember me checkbox is checked. Okay, so we can use the if condition. If, so we can use is set. So how we are going to check the cookies? So we are having a super global variable called cookies. Okay, so we can use this super global variable and we can check. Okay, no, not cookie. So in this case we need to check uh, whether this remember me is checked or not. So therefore we can use post, because we are posting the information or the user inputs from the client side. So we can check whether this is post. So this is the name of the remember me checkbox. So we are going to check whether this is checked. So like this we can see whether this is checked. Okay, and here also we are having a spelling mistake, so I can correct it in this place as well. Okay, now we can see that we are first checking whether this is set. So if it is set, what we need to do, so if this is set, so we need to generate a random token using this one, uh, and also store this token in a cookie on a user's browser set in an expiry date. So that means we need to generate this token, and after that we need to store this token. That means we need to create a cookie here by including that this token, and also the expiration time is there for this cookie, because we know that we have two types of cookies here. So if you are not setting the expiration time, then that cookie will be a session cookie. So if it is a session cookie, once you close the browser, the cookie will be deleted automatically. But in this case, we should not we should not do it like that, because if the browser deleted this cookie, so then next time we cannot get this value. So therefore what we are going to do is we are going to set an expiration time. Once we set expiration time, the browser knows that this cookie need to be there until this time reaches. Okay, so therefore what we are going to do is we are going to create a cookie here by setting an expiration time. So first we are going to have a token here. So the token will be, so we are going to use this function to generate a token, random token. So then we need to have a expiry. So it is 30 days, so therefore we are going to get so normally this expiry in a cookie is a Unix timestamp. So therefore first we are going to get the current Unix timestamp by using this time function, and then we are going to add 30 days. So the 30 days is having 24 hours, and then 1 hour is having 60 minutes, and 1 minute is having 60 seconds. Okay, so like this we can add a Unix timestamp for expiry. So after that we are going to set the cookie. So we can have the name for this cookie. So I will name it as remember 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 me. So the cookie name is remember me, and we are going to add a value. So the value is token, so we are going to store this token here, and also we need to have the expiry. Okay, so the expiry for this cookie. Okay, now we have set this cookie, so you can see that the cookie is there now in my once the login is success. So that is the first part, store this cookie. So at the same time, save the token, or that means save the token in the database by extending the user table to include fields cookie token and expiry. So now once the cookie received from this user site, okay, so once the cookie is received from the user site, so what we are going to do is we are going to check this cookie. So that we are going to check this cookie value, and we need to find out who is this user. So therefore we need to have this cookie token and the expiry date in so the cookie token and the expiry date in our database. So therefore we need to extend the database. So this is how we can do. So we can run this SQL command to alter the user table. So I'm going to copy this one now, and I'm going to services, databases, and I'm going to connect with activity 10, this one, users, execute command. Now I'm going to run it. Okay, I think I have already executed it. Okay, so this so now you can see I'm having in my user table the cookie token and expiry date is now there. Okay, so now we will view this one. Okay, so both are null, so we don't have any values. So now we have created, because we set it these as null, so here you can see the default value is null in both cases. So now we are having this field in our database, token, cookie token and expiry date, but both are null. So now we need to save this one, so therefore we need to do some kind of update with the user table. So we will move to our user class here, classes user. So we have created a method called update, but we didn't add any information into this update function body. So let's do this kind of thing. So we are going to pass the token and expiry from outside with the connection, and now we are going to do some kind of a update with this user. Okay, so here we need to create the, we need to run SQL query. So before that we will use con object. Last time also I told that if you are not using this one, so we cannot get the support from the netbean, because netbean doesn't know this is a PD object. Okay, so therefore what we are going to do is we are going to create this get connection we are going to call this get connection, and we are going to create a PD object here, so that it's easy for us. So now we will have the query. So this will be an update query. So update user set. So we have columns here, cookie token, and we're going to set into a value, and then expiry date, and we will set this to a value like this. Update user set cookie token expiry date. Okay, where id equal to some value, because we need to set only for specific user. So now we need to have dollar pstmt equal con prepare, and we are going to pass the query. So now we need to set values here, dollar pstmt and bind value. Okay, so the first placeholder, so we are going to bind first placeholder, we are going to bind the cookie, so that means the token. Okay, next placeholder, so we are going to bind the expiry date, mean expiry. So the last one is actually the user, so we can get it from this class, dollar this id. Okay, now we are going to execute this one, dollar pstmt and we are going to execute this one. So now since this is an object query, so we need to check how many rows affected, and based on that we need to give a decision, so that means whether this update is successful or not. So therefore we will pass a boolean value here. So we are going to return whether this is success or not. We are going to call to this pstmt, and so we are going to get the row count, and if this is greater than 0, so that means we have successfully updated, so we have successfully updated, so we are going to return that one. So this is how we are going to change the user class by adding this update function body. So now we don't need this line, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now we will move to the login page again. So here now first we are going to check, so before doing this part, once this is set, okay, so once this is set, okay, so I'm going to check if dollar user update, so we are going to update with token expiry. Con means here should be db connector get connection. Okay, and if this is true, so if this is true, then only I'm going to set the cookie. So that means if I can save this token and expiry in with this user, so then I'm going to set a cookie like this. Now this is our modified login process, because in this modified login process, so what we are going to do, we are going to save this cookie token and expiry date on the database, and we are going to set a cookie, and we are going to add this information to that cookie. And now uh, we have actually created this cookie. Okay, now we can see whether this cookie is actually creating. So now let's run this one. Let's run this application. So now I'm going to use this account to log in. So I will click sign in. Okay, so now I log into my website. So let's go to our cookies. So let's go to the settings, and we will go to this cookie and site permission, manage and cookies, see all cookies. Okay, session id is there. Okay, let's see. Let's see, our database is updated. Okay, so this is not updated, so I think we have some issue here. So let's find out what is that. So if the user authenticate is success, so now we are coming to this place, and then okay, so we forgot to tick this remember me, so that is what happened. So let's try it again. So this test user, and I'm going to paste the password, and we need to tick this remember me. So I forgot to tick it. So then sign in. So now we already again we sign into we logged into this interface. So now I will go to the cookies, so settings, and the cookie site and permission, manage, see all cookies. So now once we go to this localhost, is telling that we are having two cookies here. So now you can see the remember me cookie is there. Okay, so the remember me, so this is we have set it. So this is our token. So now this is what we are creating the cookie for this session. Okay, so for the session also we are going to create a session cookie. So the session cookie will be deleted once we close the browser. But this one remember me cookie, so we have set it a expiry date. You can see that. So we have created the expiry date as September 4. That means we actually added 1 month for this cookie. So therefore until September 4, this time this cookie will be there with this browser. It's not going to delete. So now you can see the cookie is available. So now let's modify this login one. So this login one we need to modify a little bit. So in this case we have set it to cookie. So now again we need to check whether the user is coming with a username and password or a cookie, because if the user doesn't have a cookie, the valid cookie, so then user need to enter his username and password to enter log into our system or Samadhi Bookshop application. But if the user is having the valid cookie, so then we should provide that user to log in without this username and password. So let's see how we are going to develop that part. So now here we are having another if. Okay, so then this will become else if. Okay, so now if this user is having a valid cookie, okay, if this user is having a valid cookie called remember me, so that is what we have set it here. So this is the cookie name, remember me. If this user is having a valid cookie, remember me cookie, so now what we are going to do here is we are going to get this user. So we are going to get this user from actually first we are going to check whether this user whether we are having a valid user with this cookie token. So whether the user we are having a valid user with this token. If this the token if we are having a user, so then we are going to automatically create a session for this user, and we are going to logged in this user. So this is how we are going to do it. So we need to do small modification to this user PHP class, because we need to get the token. So we need to get user by token. Okay, so I'm going to create another function here, public get user by token. Okay, so we are going to create a public function get user by token. So in this case we need a token, and so we need the connection. Okay, so this is what we need to get user by token. So we are going to pass the token and the connection. So this is also very much similar to the authentication process. So therefore, without typing all these things, I am going to copy the things from this authentication one. So copy it, and we need to change this one. So this is classes not authenticate function. So this should be uh, get user by token function. So yes, it's many mistakes, so we will correct it here as well. Okay, now this is our method. Where is that? Get user by token. So now we need to have a query select all from user where not username now. So we need to select the user by using cookie token. Cookie token. Okay, now we need to prepare it, bind the value, not the username. So we are going to bind the token here. Okay, now execute. So we are going to fetch the data from the database. That's okay. So if the result is not empty, so we are going to get the database token. Okay, not the token. So in this case we need to get the expiry. Okay, so we are going to get the db expiry date, because we need to check whether this cookie is still valid. So that means if it is whether this cookie is not expired, so that is what we need to check. So we need to get the db expiry date here. So we can get it by calling to this resulted set and passing the database column name, the expiry date. So now this is not password verified, so this method we need to change. So now we are going to check whether this database expiry date. So we are going to get this whether this database expiry date minus the current time. So we are talking from the Unix timestamp here. So if the database expiry date minus time is great is greater than 0. So if okay, not greater than 0, should be less than 0. So if this is less than 0, so that means now the current time is more than this the expiry date. Okay, so now we are in the future date. So in that okay, so we need to check the correct the true value. So if the expiry date is in a greater day, so then uh, what you are going to do, so if this is true, if this token is not expired, so then we are going to get this information, and we don't need to set anything into this one. So we are going to set this information to this user id, first name, last name, role, and then return true. Okay, so this is what we are going to do in this get user by token. So we are going to select the user by using this token key, and after that we are going to check whether this expiry date, um, whether this expiry date is not reached still. So that means still this is so I will add a bracket here. So this is valid token, and if it is valid token, so we are going to set this user with this information like we did it in the authentication method, and then we are going to pass true. In two cases we are passing false if this token is not there. So with this one actually we are checking whether this token is a valid. If the valid token is not valid, we are passing false. And also if this expiry date is already passed, so then again we are passing false. So now we go to the login. So in this login, if this remember me cookie is there, so first we need to create a user. Okay, so the user object by calling to the user class constructor. So in this case we don't have any of the information about this user. Okay, because in previous case when you are creating this user object, we have the username and password, but in this case we don't have any information about this user. So therefore what we are going to do is, so we are going to so what we are going to do, so we are going to make everything is null because we don't have any of these values. So then we will use if condition here. Okay, so we are going to use the if condition here. If dollar user get user, so I think it's very appropriate to use not get user by token, is valid token. So we will name this as is valid token, and we will go to the user class also. So we are going to check we are going to change this method name is valid token, and here also we will change it because then it's more appropriate, that name is more appropriate, because we are not getting the user id here. What we are going to do is whether we are going to check whether this user is valid, user's token is valid. Okay, so is valid token, so we are going to pass the token. So now the token is coming with this cookie. Okay, so we can get the value of this cookie as the token, and then we need to pass this db connector, that means the database connection pd object. So we are going to pass it here. So if this is valid, okay, else, so that means if this is not valid, so what we are going to do, so we are going to redirect this user to the login page. Okay, so this is the login page, so we are going to redirect this user to login page. So we are just redirecting, not displaying any information, that means user need to log in. So if this is a valid token, if this user is having a valid token, so now what we need to do, so we need to create, so we need to create a session for this user. Okay, so now we are going to create this all these sessions for this user. So we are going to create these session variables for this user, because now this user is a valid user, and then we are going to redirect this user So we are going to create these things, and we are going to redirect this user to the user page. We are going to redirect this user to the user home page like this. Now that part is okay. So now update the login process. So first check if the remember me cookie exists in the user's request. We checked it, and then if it is exist, so we need to retrieve the token from the cookie user table. So we got it, whether the matching record is there. If the matching is found, then expiry date we need to check whether it's not passed. So we have already checked that one, and we load the information into the session based on associated data from the database and allowing them to remain login. Okay, so that part is okay. If the cookie does not exit, from the user to enter their login. Okay, so we redirected user back to the login page. Additionally, modify the sign out. So okay, so before going to the sign out, let's see whether it's working. So now we have completed this part, and now in the index page also we need to add some more coding here, because in this index page, once the index page is loaded, again we need to check this condition if this cookie is available. If this cookie remember me. So if this whether this remember me cookie is available. If the remember me cookie is available, so then we need to redirect this user. So we need to redirect this user. We can use the header function here. So header function, we need to redirect this user directly to the login page if this cookie is available. Else only, so if this cookie is not available, only we are going to display this form to this user. So now our index page is like this. If this cookie remember me cookie is there, so directly we are redirecting this user to the login page to check whether this cookie is valid. If this is valid, we are automatically login this user, and we are going to display the user's home page. If not, we are going to display this form, this login form. So now let's go to the browser, and now we will sign out from. So we will go to this cookies. So because we already created a cookie here, so we will remove this cookie. And the localhost, yes, we are having two cookies here, remember me, so I'm going to delete this one. I don't have remember me cookie now. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm going to run this application. Okay, undefined array key remember me. Okay, so we're having some issues here. Okay, not this, we need to use ESET here, whether this cookie is already set. That is what we need to check, whether this cookie is set. If it is set, so we are going to pass this user to the login.php. Okay, let's see now. Okay, now it's not there. So now we are going to log into this application, and we are going to put this remember me, sign in. Okay, now we signed in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this browser now. I have closed the browser. Now again I'm accessing this website. Now you can see that I'm logging to my one without entering username and password. So I will show you again. So now I have closed the browser. So once I close the browser, so I don't have a valid session. So because the session will be expired once you close the browser. But now I have set it a cookie with a token. So now my application is checking this is a valid token. Then I'm redirecting the home page if that is a valid token. So that is what is happening here. So once I run this project now, so now you can see that I'm directly going to my home page. We don't have any login page here. Okay, so now the next step is we need to add some more things into this sign out as well, because once I click this sign out, okay, sign out, okay, sign out is not working. Why? So once I click this sign out, I'm redirected into the index.php page. Once I redirect to the index.php page, now I'm having a valid cookie. So what is going to happen? Again, I'm logging back because I didn't modify the sign out. So let's modify the sign out. So I'm going to the sign out page here. Okay, so where's the sign out? So it's there with the user. Yes, this is sign out. So in this sign out, now I'm unsetting these values, and we are going to destroy the session. Other than that, we need to remove this cookie as well. Okay, so now first thing is we need to remove the cookie, that means the token information and the expiry date from the database. So therefore again we need to update this update this user information. So this is how we are going to do it. So I'm going to this user class, and here we are having a method called update. So with this update method, so we can pass the token and expiry, but in this case we are going to remove it. We can pass null values with the connection, and then we can update this user. Okay, so now we are going to have if condition here. If okay, now we need to have a use object first. So since we are going to use a use object, so uh, we need to add these classes, and we need to add these classes here after the session. Okay, so we are going to add these classes, and then we are going to create a user object here, user equal new user. Okay, so I'm going to create an empty user here, null user. So we will go to here, and we will copy the code from here. Null, we don't have any values with this user object. Okay, so now in this case we are going to set user set id method, and we are going to set the user id by getting it from the session, because now the user id is there with the session. So we need only this information. So we are going to set id for this user. Okay, now we are going to call to this user object and update function. Now the token, we are going to make it null, and expiry also we are going to make it null, and then this connection, so we are going to use db connector class and get connection method. Okay, now if we can do it successfully, that means if we can update this user information with null, so then we have removed this token from our database. So now what we are going to do is we are going to remove this user. That means we are going to remove this cookie from the user's browser. So we can use set cookie method, the same method, and then the name of this cookie is remember me. So here we are creating the cookie remember me. So we are going to get that one, and we are going to make the value as empty here, and then we are going to use the expiry date as a pass date. Okay, so we will use time. So now in this case minus 1 month minus, so this is a pass date. Okay, so we are going to use the minus operator, this one with the pass date 2460 into 60. So now this is a past date, 1 month all date. So now the cookies expiry date is 1 month old date. So then the browser is remove this cookie immediately, because this is an expired cookie. So now we have set it this cookie information. We have set up the cookie information, that means authentication key and the expiry date into null. And after that this set cookie is again, we set up this cookie with an all date, so that means the cookie will be deleted from the browser as well. So now let's go to our application, and so let's run it again. So now it's again I'm coming back to this one, because I'm having a cookie now. So I'm going to click sign out. Okay, so my path is not correct here. So here I'm in the users folder, so therefore I need to go one back, and then only I can access these classes. Okay, so there's a problem with my one. Now let's see. Okay, we have set it the user update null, and we have passed this one. So let's go to our database and check whether this is worked. Okay, now these values are null, so that is okay. So that means this one worked correctly. And then we are going to set the cookie with the expiry date again. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so we'll go to our cookies. We are having this cookie, remember me cookies there, but it's still having the expiry date, and is September 4. Let's see what's happened. Okay, let's try it again. So now I'm going to log in here, test user at gmail.com. So this is my username, and this is the password. So I will tick this one, sign in. So now that's worked fine. So I'm going to sign out. Okay, so I'm coming to this one again. Let's see the login page here. So once this cookie is not set, so I'm coming to the else part. So if you need to remove the cookie from here as well, so because this path and that path is different, so therefore we will remove the cookie from here as well. So we will set it as empty, and we will set a pass date here. So now let's try my one again. Okay, so now I'm getting, I think now it's working. So let's try it again. Set test user at gmail.com. so this is my username, and I'm adding my password, test. Okay, remember me, sign in. Okay, now I signed in. So I'm going to close my browser now. Okay, so I'm going to execute the same site again, now with uh, so now I'm coming back to here. Okay, then Okay, now it's working fine. I think I accidentally activated this delete cookies from the browser. So the once the browser closed, so I'm deleting all the cookies. So therefore, the remember me cookies, they are not there. So that is why we got the issue. Now after adding this line, so we added this line. So after that, also we got the error. So then I checked it. That is because of my browser setting, because when I'm finding what is the issue. Actually, I was cleared all the cookies. When I'm clearing, I activated clear cookies once browser closed option. So therefore, after that, once I test it again, so the cookies not there. So that is what happened. So we will try it again. Now it's working fine. So now we can see that we are going to this website. Now we are going to log in. So we are going to use test user account, and the password as test, and remember me tick and sign in. So now we signed in. So then I'm going to close the browser. So now I'm going to run it again. So now you can see that we are coming back to the home page of the user. So now I'm going to sign out. So once I sign out, I'm going to this one. So if I go to these cookies now, so you can see that this cookie is not there. Okay, so here you can see under this we are having only the session cookie. We don't have the remember me cookie. So in the very first case I got the issue because I'm not setting it here, because I'm setting I'm making it here. So actually I'm going to set it here, but the redirection is happening from the login page back to this one. So in this location, so I'm going to set it clear, because here the path, here the location, I'm actually creating this cookie. Okay, so therefore in this case I'm going to delete this cookie in this place. So that means actually without clearing it here also it will work. So now this is how we are going to handle this remember me function. So in this lesson, so in this practical, the activity 11, so you may learn how to use cookies with PHP environment to personalize the context. So this is remember me without further logging. So you can access your home page if you are if the remember me is already they are in already activated for this web application. So hope you got something from this one as well. So here the code, I will upload this code to the VLE, so then you can also try out yourself. And yeah, so that's about all about this activity. So we have completed all these steps which are there in the activity. And then yeah, so thank you. So we will finish this one.